Can you see me?
Okay. Hi guys. Hi Charles.
Hi, good day. My camera should be open. How are
Can
you?
hear you. Just a second.
Hello? Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you now. Hi Dawi,
Good
how are
day.
you?
I'm fine,
Hi.
you good?
Okay,
Hello.
thank you for joining
Everybody.
us. Yeah. So I think this is the panel is about agricultural, about the challenges, the success factors, and things. But I think it's the best to start the session just with introductions about what we do. So I think Dawi, will start with you. Just a short introduction about Haifa and if you're working in Zambia, etc.
Thank you very much. Good day, everybody. Thank you for inviting me for this forum. My name is Davi Fourie. I'm the Managing Director of Haifa in South Africa. Haifa is part of Haifa Group in Israel. We are a water-soluble fertilizer company coming with plant nutrition solutions, mostly via irrigation systems. And we also produce a range of controlled release fertilizers that are quite interesting, quite a source of innovation to increase nutrient use efficiency in all over the world. And Haifa South Africa is in the Haifa Group quite a leader in this field with success in South Africa. And we also have already some applications of these controlled release fertilizers already in Zambia with some orchards that are being grown with controlled release fertilizers. And then, of course, our water-soluble products that we are selling there via our client Amiran, which is part of the Bolton Group. And yes, this is my introduction.
Thank you, Dawi. Charles?
Good day. Hi, I'm Charles Cherry. I'm the MD of Cherry Irrigation, which is based in Cape Town, South Africa. We've also got a branch in Namibia, Angola, and Mauritius. So we work mostly in the southern or in SADC region. We are an irrigation design company. We supply material and we implement irrigation, fertigation, and automation systems. So our team is a team of designers and technicians that works all over Southern Africa. So we haven't done any projects in Zambia as such. We're looking at it now, but we've been active in all your neighboring countries. Thank you.
And you're working with some Israeli companies, right?
Yes,
you mentioned the names.
Yeah, we work with Netifim. We work with Metzer. We work with Alphatech. We work with Rootsat. There's plenty. Arcal, Permat. I can carry on.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Charles. Yair. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. First, I would like to thanks to Ofra and the beautiful Zambian team that they organize these days. It's very important for the Zambia agriculture sector. It's very important to the agriculture Zambia sector. My name is Yair Atia, and I live in Zambia. We have our company here, Green 2000. Actually, I'm in Zambia from 1999. We as Green 2000, we are an agriculture company that we are selling all the agriculture product. If it starts from irrigation, we are doing drip, sprinklers, microjet, pivot. On the center of the seeds, we are, I can say we are the leader of the tomato seeds in Zambia and the onion seeds, doing a lot of project of greenhouses, fish project, a livestock project like chicken, dairy product and everything. We are keeping 3 expatriates from Israel to support the agriculture activity, and we are happy to say that we are keeping around 40 local Zambian employees in our company, direct and indirect, much more as a subcontractors, and they are doing the job, the civil work or any job that they need. I think we did already few thousand of hectares of irrigation and project in Zambia, and I think later on we will say a little bit more.
Thank you, Yair. Mr. Chance Kabaga, hopefully I'm saying it right. Kabaya, sorry. Mr. Chance Kabaya, please.
Thank you very much. So my name is Chance Kabaya, and I head the Apache think tank called Indaba, and so I head the Apache think tank called the Apache Indaba Policy Research Institute, and I've been an architect of many policies in agriculture in this country. We do a lot of research for various, crops, livestock, and so on. So anyone who comes in this country, at least is privileged to have well-researched, evidence-based, data that they can use for their decision making. I do also chair many companies in the agricultural arena. I chair SEEDCO, which is the biggest agricultural, seed company in this country. We're all over, Africa. And I did see one company from France, when you put big companies that are investing in agriculture in Israel have 30%, shareholding into SEEDCO. So now I understand why SEEDCO is really high on the agenda for the whole of Africa. I do chair the biggest, fish company, but when it comes to proper agriculture, I also chair now, which is going to be the biggest fertilizer company for the United Capital Fertilizers. We start rolling out our fertilizers come next month, in July. We'll finish the construction, the machinery is already in. Next 3-4 years, we should be producing 1.2 million tons of fertilizer. Meanwhile, I think the Zambians who are here and others who understand the agricultural industry in this country, right now we're using about 850,000 metric tons of fertilizers. So I'm saying next 4 years, we should be able to produce 1.2 million tons. So we should be able to satisfy the fertilizer for this country and also export to the region. Let me also add a bit. I hope you'll give me time later on to give an overview for all listeners outside and here, to give a bit of what this agriculture industry is all about in this country. But I just wanted to say that whoever invests in this country in agriculture, he is investing in the best country in Africa, and also at the right time. People always say that the population in Zambia is 18, 19 million. No, your market is 600 million, sorry, people. We're landlocked, but in a very fortunate situation. So Israel and the Zambians in the field of agriculture, you cannot go to a better place than Zambia. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kabaya. You obviously earned your seat now at the panel. Thank you for that. So I really want to start, and Charles, I will start with you, because you're working with several countries, maybe not in Zambia, but developing markets, and you're also connected between Israeli companies and local companies. So from your perspective, what is the most important criteria to make a successful collaboration? When you come into a new country?
I think one of the most things is to define the roles of the different role players, to know exactly who's going to do, who needs to do what. Each people should understand each other's strengths and weaknesses so that they can fill in where it's needed. Communication, definitely. There must be open communication. And I think the biggest thing is trust. There must be trust between the different countries and the different role players. Then I think it's easy. But yeah, that's very short and sweet. But that is the 3 or 4 main points. Is get together constantly, talk to each other, make sure what everybody needs to do, and yes, then it's after that normally it's very easy. Thank you.
Thanks, Charles. Yael, Stratia. So you have a lot of experience, more than 20 years, with doing agricultural projects here in Zambia. Do you have any kind of criteria that you're saying, okay, this is going to be a successful project because the Zambian part is doing this and that, or the Israeli side doing this and that, to give to the audience to tell them this is going to be a successful?
Yeah, I will try to answer you in a different way. We divide the Zambian market for small-scale farmers, private sectors, and government agriculture activity. And the way that we see that I can say we help a lot to the small-scale farmers to improve the life scale. It's all the knowledge and all the equipment that we brought from Israel. As you know, Israel, it's a desert, and we are using a drip irrigation. And in the for 1999, when I came first time to Zambia, it was no drip irrigation in the country. And we start to bring the drip irrigation and to teach the farmers. Beside this, we brought high quality seeds. So if the small scale farmers in Zambia used to do around 10 tons per hectare of tomato, today they know to do 120, 130 tons per hectare. It's come with the support of Haifa Chemicals on the soluble fertilizers. We are representing Metzer here, and we have all the supporting for Metzer, another Israeli company that we push all the drip. And that's what bring the successful of Zambia, of the Zambian farmers. Until I think this is the way that we should go to make more and strong connection between the Israeli know-how and the Zambian farmers. Zambia, it's blessing from God for the best land. 40% from the water in Africa, it's in Zambia. The temperature, it's one of the best climatic condition to do agriculture. And as my friend says, we can feed 600 million people. We have 8 borders that we can grow the crop and export. And the way to go forward is just to do a JV in the knowledge, or even what is happening now is the government, they are pushing a lot of PPP project with the private sectors. And by the way, I'm happy to say that yesterday, the first fruit came. We signed the agreement with the biggest marketing company in Israel, and the company is coming from next month to Zambia to do a huge avocado project, include a packing house with a fully support from the government.
Very nice.
That's the way that we should move, I think.
So, Daria, I want to ask you something. You obviously Haifa Fertilizer, it's a global company. I think you're listed, no, or not? I'm not sure, but anyway, yeah. But this is, when you look on a new territory, obviously from the perspective of a big corporate, what is important from you to look at? Do you look on, I don't know, GDP? Do you look on the infrastructure? Do you look on specific yields in the country to get the decision to go in it?
Usually, you first try and see whether there is a market for your products. So if the country doesn't have a agricultural sector, that is developed to support your type of products, it's very difficult to enter. Like for instance, in our case, we are a water-soluble fertigation type of nutrigation company. So we follow where people sell irrigation equipment. Our vehicle for selling our products is improved irrigation equipment, center pivots, drip, micros, all these things. So this is typically what we are looking for. So the second thing that we are looking for is a country where it is easy to do business. And I think here the government can play a very, very important role going forward. Make the barriers of entry as low as possible. I see this in many African countries. I'm an African myself. The more you make it difficult for companies to enter into a country with a lot of bureaucracy and permits and challenges, the more difficult it becomes to enter. And also, the more expensive your products becomes for the end user. I really believe in every country, but specifically in African countries. The whole focus, the whole time should be what is the best for the end user? The end user, the small scale farmer, or the commercial farmer in a country. And giving support to them, that should be the focus of the whole time, and not trying to find places where small bits of costs can be added onto a system. And then, of course, the necessary infrastructure to enter into these places, roads, border posts, all these things. If that in a way answers your question.
Thanks, Dewi. I think you emphasize the importance of the government, and I really want to ask Mr. Kabaya. You're local, you born and raised in Zambia, I guess. And so, from your perspective, how do you see the government's role? What do you think is the most important to do in order to enhance more investments and to open the market for more foreign investors into Zambia?
I think he has raised an extremely important point, which really is a policy issue. I think for this country, we are in a much better position than ever before in terms of putting in place policies that facilitate investments in agriculture. The new government, since they came in last year, they have, for instance, indicated that you are free to produce and export. Before, we saw a lot of commercial farmers leaving the production of maize, even leaving production of wheat and soyas, because they were not allowed to export. So that policy has been changed, which makes now commercial farmers really go in big production to sell within the country and export, in the region. I was indeed, this last weekend, I was at Kasumbalesa border, which is really border with the DRC. The queues at the border of people trying to take things into DRC were more than 20 kilometers. Track following each other. And one would say, this really does not facilitate trade. This government, immediately that was done, they've opened two other, borders, designated two other borders on the Congo border. So those will be exits so that there's good flow of trucks. Yes, if the policies are not right, there will be no investments coming in this country. But I think, Amit, through our ambassador, this government, you can sit down with them. If there are certain things that you want to be facilitated, to be done, put in place, change certain trade restrictions, this government will listen and put in place. That will not only just for Israel, but will also facilitate other investors to come in this country. I think the PPP has already been put in place. public-private partnerships. A team secretariat is already operational as we are talking. So Israeli companies, those who may find it difficult to start establishing themselves and so on, they are free to use that part of the law, which makes it very easy to partner with the local companies in this country. Quickly they land and they start running. So all those laws are being put in place. Without proper conducive laws in trade, for sure, we should even forget about our partnership between Israel and Zambia. But I can assure you, as things are today, you saw the minister's speech, private sector oriented, inviting Israel to come in the country, wanting also Zambia to export to Israel. I think there's no better time than now. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
I just want to say a little bit more things what Mr. Chance Kabaya say.
By the way, from 1991. So he's a colleague.
Mr. Kabaya talking about the government. What I saw as a supplier and as a supporting guy in the agriculture, the government just not talking. What happened last month, it's never happened before in Zambia, to approve the high-tech, to approve the irrigation, to approve the agriculture, there is no tax and duty for the farmers. They just clean it. And what they did to the onion grower, the sectors for the onion grower, that they suffer here with the price, they reduce the license for the import to support the local farmers. So I really think this is the things for us to move and combine powers together. And I'm sure after that the government release the option to do export from Zambia to the neighboring country, a lot of Israeli farmers or Israeli company will come to do the PPP. This is the right time because as Chance says, Zambia, it's landlocked, but Zambia got 8 borders that they can feed around. And the main thing is Congo. Today, the maize come from South Africa to Kasumbalesa border, passing Zambia, and all the profit of Zambia, it's the toll gate. The farmer now can produce and can be with a very good price, competitive price, since we not have the cost of transport for the other countries that going to DRC.
Thank you, Yair. So let's try to make it a little bit more practical. And Dowie and Charles, will be for you. We'll start with you, Dowie. Let's say you sold the system, you sold the fertilizers. Now you need to start, to implement it in Zambia or other country. Obviously, there are challenges when you're sending it. There is a gap of knowledge, there's a gap of experience. How do you, as a global company or as an integrator, overcome these challenges when you are starting to roll out like your products in a new country?
Okay. If I'm going to try to be very practical, and if I step on any toes, luckily I'm far away. So
you know where you are. So
yeah. So if I step on any toes, I'm far away. But I want to take. I really want to contribute to this sector because this is why we are here. I want to bring something practical that we have been experiencing since 2020. I understand the rationale behind it, but I just want to show what the barrier there suddenly is that was not there previously. When we export, we used to send fertilizer or our water-soluble fertilizer via one of the ports from Israel. It was a challenge way back when to get it over the borders with documents, and all these people were trying to organize it from Israel. And eventually they said, listen, why don't we handle it from our Haifa subsidiary in South Africa? We have the stock here in South Africa. We send it via truck to Zambia. And it worked very nicely. And we also do exports to Zimbabwe and to Namibia and all these places. But what we found is sending it to Zambia, there were not really big barriers except the distance. They accepted the products. The products are well known, and there were not any permits, import permits, and so on, very much needed. Since 2020, there was a new instruction regarding the submission of fertilizer samples for importation. Now, first of all, I understand it fully. The government wants to make sure that the product that is arriving is of a high quality and that the farmer will not get sand in his fertilizer bag, and it should not and not fertilizer. I understand the rationale behind it completely. But what it now entails is we have to, for each and every product that we export to Zambia, we have to take a sample, we have to courier it. Courier cost is money, and we have to send it to Zari. Zari then does an analysis of the product, and it takes about 3 to 4 weeks, and then the import permit is supplied. This is something that is now here. It's a cost, and it wasn't previously. Now, I see two things. I see that if agriculture will increase in Zambia, which we all want to do, there will become a backlog of these samples. And it will cause the system to become slower. What I'm asking is, if a product is identified, a brand name is identified, can we not have permits that are more, how can I say, representative for a longer period to overcome these timing barriers? I mean, everybody knows what is happening with fertilizer prices all over the world. It's going up and up and up with huge shortages all over the world. Now we are in a way blocking possible supply to Zambia because of an issue like this. This is just an example that I'm putting on a practical basis to the table. So I think really it's something that I understand the rationale behind it, but we have to really think, is it necessary to do it in such an extreme way as it is done currently? We are living in a new modern world. You can see products on the internet. You can see what quantity and what quality it is. You can see what companies it is. So this is basically what I want to bring to the table.
Thanks, Louis. I think that if there's someone from the government here, here is an action item for you to take from the conference. It's a good start. Charles, the same questions for you when you're starting a new project. Yeah.
I think it's different for the different regions of South Africa. I think Zambia, Zimbabwe, there is a lot of knowledge already as far as agriculture is concerned. So to get technical expertise in the countries are relatively easy. To get help is relatively easy. If you look at a country like Namibia, even in Mauritius now, Angola, there you have to bring in a lot of expertise. You have to bring in big technical teams, and you have to spend a lot of time on training. So in our company, we've actually employed a person that just looks at training people to be able to help them to set up the systems. And more importantly, after it's easy to install, easy to get it done, but the training and the support afterwards, I think, is where the big challenge is. We need to be able to leave a site, and once we leave the site, make sure that the person running the site is equipped. So if you get there a year after, or you don't leave something behind that is bound to fail, and that is where the big challenge is to actually to build on the expertise in the country, so you can leave a bit of a legacy behind. You can leave something behind that the people are proud of, You can leave something behind that's got a lifespan, and be open. Once again, communication. Get back to terrain. Get back to constant training. Tell the people there's nothing to be ashamed of to say that I do not know. Please, I need help. And I think that's what makes us as a company strong, is that we believe is that we need a part of our knowledge. We must leave our knowledge behind. We mustn't just run in. And I think from a South African side, the more north I go into Africa, sometimes we had a bad rep. They say, are you also one of those companies that's just going to come and dump your equipment and leave, and not train us, not help us if we need help afterwards, to say not be there anymore for us. So yeah, in short and sweet, I think what we normally do is we'll send a very strong technical team with any project that we do. We'll work with local people. We will identify local people that we can train, and they walk with us step by step of the installation process. And by the time that we leave, that we're sure that the knowledge is also not only the product is left behind, but that there's somebody that can actually operate the system. Thank you.
Great. Thanks. I think we are kind of run of time, and I want to open it maybe to a question or two from the audience. So if anyone wants to ask questions, remark, or from one of the panelists here, don't be shy. If not, I can speak. I can still speak and ask questions. Yeah. We have our encouraged volunteer. Thanks, Nitesh.
My name is Nitesh Patel. I'm the consulting partner at a company called Koto Consult. So one of the things we talk about in Zambia, sorry, can you hear me? One of the things we talk about in Zambia is that we have the highest content of underground water of any country in sub-Saharan Africa. And that to some extent is because obviously we have the Zambezi and even to some extent the Limpopo, parts of it flowing into Southern Africa. We have vast amounts of arable land in this country. So my question would be to Dr. Janskabai, what are we doing wrong when we sort of say we have drought spells? Are we not harvesting enough water? Do we not have enough water capture systems? How do you uplift the lives of the poor Zambians in the rural areas? How do you create agro schemes? Because water seems to be the biggest issue when it comes to irrigation. Thank you.
Thanks, Nitesh.
Thank you, Patel. It is indeed true that Zambia has both surface water and underground water. 40% of it is domiciled in this country, for the sub-Saharan Africa. It's not the whole of Africa, but sub-Saharan Africa, 40% is domiciled here. It's a big opportunity. And meanwhile, we have a mono rainfall system. In other words, we receive rains at one particular time in the year, and the rest of it is dry. Ideally, when it is dry, we should then be putting center pivots, drip irrigation, treadle pumps, and so on, so that our farmers not only produce one crop, but can produce 2, 3, even more crops in a given year. Oh, I thought you were saying something. So, thank you, sir. So, to me, this is an opportunity, Patel. This is an opportunity for our partnership, for Israel investment in Zambia, in the irrigation system. We've had several projects as a country through the Ministry of Agriculture, but they've produced very little result. We have also a bimodal farming system in this country. When I say bimodal, we have the small-scale farmers, about 1.5 to 2 million small-scale farmers, and we have the commercial sector. So the commercial sector, that's where a lot of investment has gone in terms of irrigation, harvesting the water, both surface and underground water. It is the small-scale farmers that ideally we should be more concerned in terms of food security at household level, who produce only once in a year. And with climate change being the thing of every day, irrigation is a must for this country. And so one area that really would love to see Israeli companies coming in, he's already here. And fortunately, before, it was the irrigation for commercial farmers. But his company in Zambia has really gone right down. I've seen 2-hectare center pivots. I've seen drips for people in Chiwombo producing tomatoes and vegetables. I think we should really expand that throughout the whole country. It is an asset that is lying idle. And from that alone, with the proper irrigation, Patel, we should be able to feed the whole Southern Africa, without any problem.
Thank you, Dr. Kabaya. I think this is something that we started to see. I think Haifa is already providing smallholder farmers kits and also Netafim. So this is definitely the future. Do we have any other question? Yeah.
Thank you so much. My name is Nchimoni Mnyama, and I'm representing Untitled Technologies, a company that has a goal to create farms that are visible and predictable. So one of our projects that we work on is an app for farmers that helps identify diseases. You just take a photo of the leaf to show you the disease itself. So my question is that how can we incorporate that idea to the government through the Israeli embassy, and also with partnership with your company? How can we work together to push this idea to everyone out there? Of course, Zambia and Africa at large.
Thank you very much. I think the minister talked about R&D, that is really research and development. Our Zambian government, year in, year out, IAPRI has presented the budget. Some of you may have attended the budget presentations on agriculture, and the investment by government in R&D in agriculture is minimal, sometimes 0.0 something. We have really not taken research and development as a key sector. Maybe there are too many competing, areas. And your issue is more of R&D. What you could do, my young brother, is maybe you can come to our office, because we are a research institution and we work very closely with the government. We have 3 government institutions that sit on the board of IAPRI. I think we can help you through us to disseminate what you want to do to the whole country. R&D is what has made, as you explained, that's what has made Israel. For us, we just need a fraction of what Israel is doing, because we already have sitting resources in this country. So we can move much faster if we really invested a bit on R&D.
Thank you. And I think I can speak for the names of all the participants here that they would love to collaborate, and if it makes sense business-wise, that should be like a win-win situation where each participant is contributes his part for the successful of the deal, of the business, and etc. So really, we need to finish. So maybe with just like 1-2 sentences summarize from your discussions, from your insights, and and so we can go on. Dawi, can we start with you as a summary statement?
Summary statement that I would like to say is, just coming back to the previous point, it's my opinion that R&D is very nice, but R&D is very expensive. It costs a lot of money. If Zambia want to be clever on this, you can ride on the back of R&D that was done by other countries. Take the information, ride on the back of it, and apply it in your country. as quickly as possible to grow your agricultural sector to the maximum. You have all the resources, the water, the soil, the climate. Use this to the best benefit of the country. I want to wish you all the best. Thank you for the business that we are doing there. We would like to do more business there. And again, if my contribution is to minimize the barriers of entry, I think you will be, the Zambian country will be much ahead of other African countries by making it easy for companies that really want to contribute to your country to do business there, and it will benefit your region for sure. All the best, and all the best for the rest of the seminar.
Thank you, Dewey. Charles?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's always good to learn from other panelists and other people. I think I want to congratulate Zambia, what they have achieved up to now. I think everybody else looks up to your country. You think you're behind and through, you can still grow. But from in the region, you are already a country that people are looking up to and say we needed to do it like Zambia, we need to do it like that. I can say I must agree with Davi. The R&D has been done. You heard how much money Israel is spending on R&D. The thing is, your biggest obstacle is to make the right choices on what products to use and what is a big advantage for your country. Yeah, and I hope to see all you guys soon. And yeah, and good luck for the future.
Thank you, Charles. Yair.
I think all the things that the government need to do, we know, and I'm sure they will do. I think the summary of this panel should be to see how Israel in Zambia maximize the yield per hectare. And this is one of the main problems with the farmers. And I can give a small samples how we change the small scale farmers. Like Kalea smallholder sugarcane growing. They used to irrigate in Faro, Metzer, and us with the Israeli technology came and we did subsurface drip irrigation. They didn't believe, but the results, they got 40% extra yield per hectare. This is the thing from the summary that we need to take and to move forward. And with our ambassador, that maybe she can bring more companies, more people that can help. We are not worried from competition because when there is rain, everyone get wet, and we can help and push the market as soon as possible. That will be the solution for Zambia.
Thank you, Yair. Dr. Kabaya, a few last words.
Yeah, thank you very much. Definitely agriculture is a low-hanging fruit for entry and development relationship between Israel and Zambia. There's no doubt about that. The country has the required natural resources to be exploited. Even fertilizer companies, we have the phosphates, we have the potash, we have all that one requires to build factories and exploit the natural resources for fertilizer in this country. The government of today is facilitating easy access. The issue that he talked about, going to ZARI. ZARI is our Zambia, Research Institute. It's a government institute. That issue, if it's still a problem, please let us discuss. It can be shortened, and immediately it's a non-name. There will be no need. The inspection can be done when their fertilizers, polio fertilizers, arrive in the country. It can be shortened. So these barriers are going to go. Please, the investors from outside from Israel, local investors, if there are certain barriers that are making it difficult for you in agriculture to invest and move forward, please let us know. I know I can represent both sides, the private sector and also government, because my institution is in between. So the buzzword in this country is invest in agriculture. The market locally is there, and the market is also around the region. Again, I repeat, you will never go wrong in investing in agriculture as Israeli companies and our own. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kabaya. And I will say just from my end that I think, probably the answer is somewhere in between, and maybe not to develop everything by yourself, but on the other hand, also not to do everything to rely on other people, and also to develop some kind of proprietary intellectual assets in your country. So again, thank you very much for all the participants. Appreciate the time. Sorry for being late. And we are just moving to our 2 minutes break, just moving to our next session for the FinTech and Telecom. Please stay seated and we'll continue. Thanks.
Thank you.
On my farm. The first tissue cancer for Israel.
Shalom and Natalia and Bella, if you can open your mics and your video.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Good. We have some female representative finally. Okay. Okay, we're just waiting for the local representative to join us, and we'll start. Okay, so again, we are in the second session talking about fintech, telecom, a little bit more tech-oriented. And I think that this is something that definitely will be some of the future economic growth engines for Zambia and for the whole continent. And maybe we'll start with just short introduction. Shalom, since you are the link between agricultural and fintech, I think it's more it's suitable that you will be the one that's starting with the introduction. So a little bit about yourself, about the company.
With pleasure, Amit. Thank you very much for inviting me. I hope you're enjoying Lusaka. I'm Shalom. I'm the CEO of Avenues. We're working in Africa for the past 5 years. Basically, what we're providing is the financial infrastructure that empower the agriculture industry. We are the credit partners for the agri SMEs, allow them to grow and to sustain a successful business. We are a 30 people company with a team in South Africa, Kenya, Uganda, and we had and have minimal activities in Zambia, but in Zambia as a market is a very compelling market for us. So exciting to be here and hear the innovation that comes to the market.
Thank you, Shalom. And I think you were probably also when I came to South Africa, the first event that we did, you also was the speaker there. And this is the last event I do before I come back to Israel. So it's kind
Nice.
of close. Yeah. Thank you for that. Bella Vax from VP Product from Pagelent.
Hi, thank you for having me here. Yes, so my name is Bella. I'm with the product of Pagelent. Pagelent is a revolutionary frictionless fraud prevention product for fintech. It is designed to protect neobanks, challenger banks, digital banks, e-wallets from fraud, and it actually eliminates the trade-off between fraud prevention, frictionless user experience, and user privacy. We protect against all types of fraud, like new account fraud, account takeover, transactional fraud, card fraud, cross-banking fraud, and many more. Pagelent's technology is based on 6 intelligence sets, which are dynamic layers that analyze and correlate relevant information through the user's journey when he's working in a mobile application to transfer money, to perform transactions, and we determine if his activities are safe or risky. We are able to identify the real user by observing different attributes related to the user, to the device, to the application, and by combining all of them and having a holistic view of the user and his activities, we are able to determine the risk fraud and protect our customers and their customers from fraud. Actually, our team, when we founded Pagelent, and even before that, we have a lot of experience of working with Africa. Also from my previous positions, I worked with Africa, with the different banks and financial institutions, and provided different solutions for compliance and for fraud, for employee fraud, money laundering, online banking, and now our focus is mobile wallets, mobile banks, and online fraud.
Thank you, Bella. Next, our speaker, Natalia Antitschuk, I hope I said it correctly, is a senior account manager at Tractimo.
It's a hard to pronounce Ukrainian last names, you know.
Yeah.
So, but you did a great job. So,
thanks.
So hi everyone. My name is Natalie. I'm a senior account manager in Tractimo, and I'm managing Middle East and South Africa, and we are working very hard on African market right now. So I would like to say a few words about Tractimo. So Tractimo is a world leading provider of end-to-end IoT solutions that allow people and businesses to stay connected to each other and to their belongings. We are producers of our own hardware and software. So it's a full cycle, it's a full service of GPS tracking devices. We are located in many countries. Our business is all over the world right now. And but we don't have experience in working in Zambia, but we're really eager to start, and we believe that it would have a great impact on society and business. Though we don't have experience in Zambia, but we have a great success story in South Africa together with Vodacom. We have launched Linea Watch for women's safety. I'm sure you heard about it, because it's a great problem right now with the security of women in Africa. We are providing an SOS watch for them, so it helps women to first of all to feel safe, second of all to call for immediate help in case they are in trouble. So we see a great impact for society in this product, and we believe that we can offer so much more for African market and for Zambian market in particular. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. And yeah, and Vodacom is also active here in Zambia. They're actually active in most of the continent. So this is actually a great gateway, and we'll talk about it later. Last but
Yeah.
not least, our local speaker, Charity Chitalu Mwanza, CEO of PayMe.
Sure.
There you go, sorry.
Good morning. Yes, this is Charity Mwanza. You did well. CEO of Digital Paygo. So we are a local fintech established in 2019. Our focus is developing solutions for financial inclusion and creating a digital ecosystem. We have been playing in various ecosystems, value chains. We have, for example, developed a platform, a digital platform for smallholder farmers. So this is a platform that is providing agribusiness solutions. We did that development with the support of WFP, and we're doing market linkages, trying to enhance both the input and output markets. There are other solutions that we've developed for the mass market, but we believe we understand the market, we understand the local dynamics. We believe in partnerships, collaboration, because we know that when you want to develop an ecosystem, you can't be the only person that knows it all. You have to align and leverage on different strengths, and then build in your experience, then you build an ecosystem. So we're very active in the agriculture space, playing with smallholder farmers. On our platform, for example, we have 13,000 smallholder farmers, 200 aggregators. So we have a three-tier model in working with the smallholder farmers on our platform. So we've got farmers that then sell their produce, we've got aggregators, off-takers locally, and we have plans to get off-takers globally. And so this platform is very important for us. I'm very sure the off-takers that could come from Israel be able to get produce from a smallholder farmer in rural Zambia. That for us is really what drives who we are, because we want to improve the lives of the smallholder farmers. So that's Digital Paygo, a local fintech.
Thank you, Charity. I have to say that this is a outnumbered woman here in this panel, and I like it. This is the future of tech, and we need to see more inclusive environment. So glad that we managed to get these numbers. I would like maybe to start with you, Charity. You know, fintech is something that is booming all over the world, but obviously there is a lot of challenges, not just in Africa. But if I would ask you, you know, to specify and to say, what do you think is the biggest hurdle, the biggest challenge for fintech company in Africa to roll out? Is it going to be the business model, investments, regulations, the ease of doing business? What do you think is the main problem for fintech company today?
From my experience, it would be infrastructure and education. When you bring in a digital solution to the mass market, especially, you need them to trust that it will work. You need them to trust that you won't so much change the way they do business or their way of lives. So that trust entails that you carry them along through education, ensure the systems are secure enough, and then be supported by infrastructure that makes it easy for them to be able to interface with the solution. So I'll pick those two mainly as the challenges from what we have seen.
Thank you. Bella, I will direct the same question to you. What do you think is the biggest challenge for a fintech company to roll out in Africa?
I think from our perspective, since we are working with very sensitive information related to fraud, and fintechs and banks don't always want to disclose this information, and this is the very valuable information for us in order to improve the product, in order to adapt it, in order to fit it best to the customer's needs. So this data about fraud cases, about fraud MOs is very important for us, and getting this feedback from our customers and from different financial institutions is not always easy. So this is one of our biggest challenges.
Thanks.
So the communication, I would say, is very important. And
Communication in terms of what? Of like between
disclosure of
so it's part of like regulation also that
yes,
drives your specific answer. Okay. Shalom, I think you are probably one of the, I don't know a lot of companies in Israel that from day one looking at developing markets, and you're probably one of the first one that did it as a focus on developing markets. And I want to ask you, obviously you had countries that you had more success than others in Africa and things like that. From your perspective, what do you think is the main criteria that made your company success in those countries rather than others? What made it successful, either by the local partners or by the regulations or other stuff that make your platform more successful in those specific countries rather than others?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's the ease of doing business, but from different angles. First, from technology perspective, like how good the cell reception is in the different areas, how well there is a penetration of smartphones in the market and understanding of digital solutions. This is one aspect, of course, for companies such as ourselves, which provide digital solutions to the market. On the other hand, is the ease of setting up a company, open up a bank account. Open up a bank account can really be a painful experience. And if you don't have the right partners in place, if you don't know good sources within the bank, it can take a long time, especially for a foreigner company. So for me, what makes what tick us and what direct us is, of course, the size of the market and how well we understand it. But the second most important is the ease of doing business, from technology acceptance and how technology can go and grow within the market, and how easy it is to set up a company in the market and grow with it.
Thanks, Shalom. Natalie, you mentioned before that you had a successful deal with Vodacom. We all envy at you. Please tell us the secret sauce. I know a lot of companies trying to work with Vodacom, and it's not easy. So from your perspective, what do you think made it so successful? What is the criteria that help you to get this kind of working deal with this biggest telecom in the continent?
Yes, so we are working with Vodafone all over the world. So it started from there, started from Europe. So it's a long-term connection of our CEO, Shai Barlavi. It's his secret and his, ability to find partners all over the world, of course. But I think the most important thing here is finding the most painful problem of the society, and a security problem if we're talking about Trachimo, because this is our main goal, to give a peace of mind to people, to owners of the businesses, to keep their valuables, to keep their loved ones safe, and to have a peace of mind about that. So Vodacom also was very into giving this peace of mind to women, and we found this common vision and understanding of the final goal, and we started working on the project. So our sustainable work on this project gave a great result and satisfaction for both partners. So I think the knowledge of the market of our partner, who is Vodacom in this case, was the most crucial part. And we added, of course, our latest technologies to this project to create the product that will fulfill the idea and the project and give the best results. So I think that would be my question, my answer. Sorry.
Thanks. So it's all about connection, guys. That's told. If we need to summarize this in one sentence,
It is what it is.
So, Charity, we're experiencing now very, I would say, a vibrant environment. There is a war in Europe. There is a shortage of specific ingredients, value chain. All the value chain is being disrupted. Inflation is up. How do you see this now affecting your business in the fintech? Do you see it as an opportunity, or do you need to do some kind of adjustments for the new reality?
Okay, so before I talk about the opportunity or challenge, I wanted to just talk about regulation. You did mention about regulation. Fortunately for us in this country, the regulator is very innovative, prone. You know, they really want to drive innovation, especially in the payment industry, to the point that we have a sandbox, a regulator sandbox that encourages any new initiative. You then get onboarded on the sandbox, be able to test the new products that can be rolled out in the market. And because of that, fintechs like ourselves get a lot of support from various stakeholders to help us test our proof of concept on the market and help us refine. Now, the changes we're seeing around the world, these are changes that have affected people. And as fintechs, we develop solutions to solve problems, real problems on the ground. So we've seen a number of opportunities. I was talking about the smallholder farmers that we're talking about. Ideally, they would not have gotten into the situation where somebody is 10,000 kilometers, be able to use a mobile phone, advertise the produce from their farm, and somebody across the country is able to buy and send a transporter to go and pick up that goods. But that's what we have seen, because there's that adoption now of digital. There's also a trust that it doesn't sometimes just have to be face-to-face. You can actually do business with somebody that is very far from where you are. That then also comes in with challenges to make sure that the systems are reliable, challenges to make sure that when you've done the transactions digitally, they are supporting systems, infrastructures, logistics to make sure that you close at the last mile. So it's sort of a two-coin. There are opportunities, but there are also challenges that need fintechs to solve for. So it's basically just opportunities we see in the fintech space.
I see. And I like how you started with your own perspective. This is very Israeli. Well done for that. Shalom, we see also with investors that now turning from growth to revenue. Does it also, do you also feel it in this like perspective where we more developing markets that you need to focus more about the revenue space, although it's a little bit more difficult here because the trajectory is probably longer. So do you see this change also happening now here?
Sure, it's all over. What I think, and to echo Cherry's word, fintech is a very good industry to be in because you need to think about your revenues from the first day. In our case, where we provide capital to clients, we need to make sure that we're not selling $1 that cost us more than what we eventually get back, because otherwise the entire model will turn apart. So we are equipped, fintechs that build themselves right from the beginning. And I think in emerging markets, especially in Africa, businesses and startups are being built to generate revenue from the first day, unlike Israelis or American startups that have the luxury to raise significant amount of money early on and sustain from investors' money. When you're working in Africa, you need to make sure that you earn enough and that you can stand yourself from revenues. So I think that from what we are seeing and the experience we have, African and African focused entrepreneurs and companies are very much equipped to the new normal, where investors look for revenues and clear path for revenue rather than just growth in any cost.
Do you think it will be harder for startups in Africa to do this transition for making revenue rather than other startup in other countries, like in the Europe or States?
I think it will be easier. I think from the founders that I know personally, the African founders and the industry in general, businesses in Africa, startups in Africa, they equipped to generate revenue much sooner and much better than Western companies because of the market and because how they see themselves as founders. Remember, like we saw a peak in investments in Africa only in the past 2 years, technology-wise. Until then, companies needed to bootstrap. They needed to generate revenue in order to grow. So I think it created a very resilient, and I hope it created a very resilient ecosystem, and that it will attract even more investors, even in these more cold times that come upon us.
Nice. So basically, you're saying that because startups are more lean in terms of expenses in Africa, because there is a shortage of investments, they probably will be better fit to do this transition into profits and revenues.
Correct.
Yeah.
Not just lean, but also they build a business model that can become profitable very fast.
Okay, Bella, if I'm coming back to my previous question to Charity about the situation, so I guess for you as a company that's dealing with fraud and things like that, probably now it's a good time. No, you seem like increase in numbers of frauds and
Yes,
other.
definitely. I think that fraud is increasing all over the world, and especially in Africa. And the last few years, a lot also because of COVID, that increased the online activities in total and mobile activities, and gave opportunities for many new fintechs to rise and to thrive. So also the fraud increase. So we definitely see a lot of opportunities, especially in Africa, where there is a large population of unbanked customers, that mobile money is very beneficial for them, and so we definitely see a lot of opportunities, and they also need protection. So yeah, we are definitely working with the African market, and one of our customers, actually ZPay from Ghana. We also see like a movement from all the activities like USSD to mobile money. So that also gives us an opportunity to protect them and to help them.
Do you see any different patterns of numbers of fraud or types of fraud in African market rather than in other markets that you are active in?
I think that in Africa there are less regulations than there are and less security standards than there are in the rest of the world, like in GDPR, in Europe, CCPA, and all these different types of security standards and enforcement that governments enforce all over the world. So I think that here the role of government to encourage mobile money and to add regulations in order to protect the population is very, very important.
Thank you. Natalie, I have one question for you, and then we'll open it for the audience for a few questions. So be prepared, guys. So you As a tracking devices and things like that, where do you see, so obviously you have to deal with Vodacom and things like that, but where do you see your future, like in Africa? Where do you see the trends in Africa in terms in your domains that you want to go into? I know that you were active in the mining industry to develop some kind of solutions for mines. I don't know where it stands at the moment, but from your perspective, what do you think are the trends in your domains?
Well, in my point of view, right now, as we are working very closely with African market, we are negotiating with different countries and companies, such as South African companies, Kenyan, we have Tanzania as well, still in negotiation. We're going through POCs with them. So the main, as I mentioned before, the main problem in Africa is security. Personal security of people and security of belongings, such as vehicle tracking, women safety watches, as well as I mentioned. We're also working now very closely with Aura security company. If you heard, I'm sure you heard about it. So we are fully integrated with them as well, and our product will send an SOS alert to their call center, and they will send all kind of help that is needed locally. So it's a very good value added service to our devices, to our platform. So yeah, I mean, security is, I think, is the most important right now on African market, and I'm sure in Zambia it will also be very in demand. So we have so many use cases, to be honest, from personal safety to fleet management. We have also devices that are being used in, for example, Tokyo port for their fleet management. So there's such a huge variety of different use cases that can be looked through locally on Zambian market. But I think the security is the most important right now.
Okay, thank you. I see also we have some questions from the audience, from the virtual audience. You can open it. Yeah. The meeting is recording. Ram, if you have a question, you can ask it and we will address it to the audience, to the panelists. Is there any questions here that wants to ask something? Yeah. So you can write the questions in the Q&A box and we will address it. If there's anyone here that wants to ask, come with an insight, a remark, or a point. I want to ask you, Charity, meanwhile, until we'll get the questions, is that from your perspective, sorry, missed you.
Good morning, panel. My question goes to Natalia. I want to find out in terms of tracking devices, Zambian agriculture is a very interesting area where we have a lot of farmers with cattle. Is it something that can be considered for such tracking devices for cattle farmer owners, especially in the south and central part of Zambia, where one person probably owns 2,000 heads of cattle? Is it something, this technology that can be extended there?
What would you like to track, people?
Livestock, animals.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Livestock, which is animals, cattle, goats.
Animals.
Yes.
Animals. Well, right now we don't actually. We have pet trackers, which we use for dogs and cats. It was created together. We have one device as a pet tracker together with Vodafone. It was designed by them, and one we have our own. But we don't have the use case yet. But I'm sure that we can make a POC with a couple of like 10, 15 devices that you can try on using with the animals. What animals are you talking about? Like big animals, cows and sheep, something like that?
Of course, yeah, cows, sheep, agriculture. on
Okay.
land.
Okay. So I think we can talk about it with our engineers as well, because we need to kind of understand how to attach the product to the animal. Because with pets, it's easy. It's just a collar, and we have a special clip for the collar, and that's how you track them. But again, it needs to be charged, of course, because our devices, they work from with the help of GPS, so it has battery. We kind of need to look through your through the list of the needed features that you want to see, and to talk to our engineers. We can have like a separate call about this, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Sinia. Yeah, another one there.
Good morning, Natalie. Good morning, everyone. My name is David Mvula. I'm coming from Common Grounds Network. Natalie, I've got a question for you. In Zambia, there is a number of village banking, especially for women. In Zambia, there's a lot of village banking in terms of, bring young women and young women together in terms of finance. And based on what you're doing in South Africa and elsewhere, is there a possibility really to find foot in Zambia in terms of working with such initiatives and cooperatives and enterprise to ensure that there's more of a win-win, initiative between what you're doing and the groups in Zambia? Thank you.
I'm so sorry. I was hearing you very, very bad. If you can, like, take the microphone a little bit closer, because really I feel difficulties to hear you.
So thank you very much again. I was saying that looking at what you are doing in South Africa and elsewhere, I was saying that Zambia has got a number of women banking initiatives, and I was thinking that there's a possibility for you and your institution to come and work with the initiatives here in Zambia, and how that can be done.
So basically, how you work with partners in countries? Do you have like partner schemes? Do you have like kind of JVs with local organizations in countries that you work at?
So we have like local distributors in the countries that we have business at. So I think it's all negotiable for sure, because in Zambia we don't have any representatives as of now, but we are really interested in having partners, of course. So yes, I think we can talk through it and define what can be the next steps and what do we need for the good partnership in future. If this answers your question.
Yep. I want to ask Charity, you're a fintech company, and obviously you in a kind of like, in one hand, you are a competitor for the incumbent banks in Zambia. On the other hand, you also rely on them, I guess, some areas. So how do you see the relationship with the banks here in Zambia? What do you think are, working well, what need to be improved, etc.?
From our perspective, the relationship with the banks is very good. We are collaborating. So we are in partnership with 5 of the major banks. And the reason the partnership works well is they appreciate the strength that we bring in as a fintech, and we appreciate the strength that a bank has. And together, we then can co-create something that makes sense on the ground. And maybe just speaking to the earlier question on tracking, that's the value of partnerships, because you then get to have an understanding of the real problem on the ground. How should we track this cattle? Why do we even need to do this? What exactly are we solving for? And then you partner with a technology provider that then comes in. Together, you develop a solution that then makes sense for the consumer. So that's how we've partnered with the banks. Even the product that we've rolled out to the smallholder farmers, we're in partnership with Zanaco, which is our largest bank here. They have a customer base, but they understand payments. They understand banking. The market trusts the bank, but we provide the technology. We understand the technology. We also work with Ministry of Agriculture. They understand the structures. So together we form a very strong partnership that enables us deliver solutions on the market.
Thank you. I think that our time is coming also to an end for for this panel. So maybe just to give like some kind of summary statement, and obviously we can also connect you with the speakers if you want after that, and this session is recorded. Maybe Shalom, we'll start with you, as you know, what you think your projections for the next few years about the fintech in Africa in general, and as a summary of this discussion.
Pleasure. First of all, enjoy the panel. Thank you very much for inviting me. I think we see fintech coming now into verticals and making them really equipped with the financial infrastructure they need. As you can see, both Cherry and our companies, we both working in the agriculture industry, but from a financial perspective, we see a lot of fast-moving good financial services going into this industry. So exciting time, and I also think that because of the fact that Africa, from a continent and of course from the different countries' perspective, the leapfrog they done with mobile payments really allow fintech to dominate and to prosper in the markets. So we see the future is bright, and we're looking forward to continuing progressing with the market and enjoy the prosperity, and of course bringing a good and positive impact on our clients.
Thank you, Shalom. Bella, from your side, how do you see your operations in Africa and in specific countries? What is your projection for the next 3-5 years?
So like Shalom said, fintech is on the grow in Africa and all around the world. And when fintech is growing, so the fraud is growing, and fintech companies require solutions that are adapted for them, that are fitting for their needs, which is different from the traditional banking models and fraud cases that we see. So definitely it's something that's growing and will require more and more protection in order to be able to grow successfully.
Thank you, Bella. Natalie, the same thing. I guess your prediction is what, to work with MTN now after Vodacom?
No, we don't work only with Vodafone. Like it's one of our biggest partners in the world, among others. So in my point of view, IoT business in general is becoming actually a huge game changer in the way people run their day-to-day lives, as well as their businesses. So we have so many, as I said before, we have so many use cases. So in general, everything that is moving, we can track. We can keep track of it. We can keep them safe. We can keep an eye on our elderly. We can keep an eye on our pets, on women, on kids. We have a lot of new coming products for kids as well, for kids safety, and it becomes a very big demand all over the world, because this is the thing that makes you feel calm and protected. So I think this business is going to grow daily and keep growing for many, many years. And I don't think it will ever stop growing.
Thank you, Natalie. And again, last and not least, Charity, you were born and raised Zambians. Like, how do you see the fintech or the startup scene in Zambia in the next few years? Are you optimistic?
Very optimistic. So Africa in general, but Zambia specifically, is ripe for digital transformation. And when you talk about digital transformation, you always link it ultimately to financial technology. So the market is very ripe for a lot of investment in financial technology. So a lot of people would ask me, for example, what business models should we deploy when we come to Zambia? My answer has always been solve the problem and the money will follow. So we have a lot of problems that need digital solutions. And if we focus on solving the problems for the communities, focus on collaborating, partnerships, we definitely going to find workable business models that will be sustainable. But the market is very ripe, very ripe. So I'm very optimistic about the fintech space in this country.
Great. This is very encouraging words to finish with. First of all, I'd like to thank all our panelists. Thank you for your time and thank you for joining us today. Before we have the last, sessions before we going into lunch, and I would like to invite the ambassador, Mrs. Farhi.
Okay, guys, you're still alive.
Thanks, everyone.
Being Israeli, Jewish, everything to sit, for me, it's really difficult. So I really appreciate your effort that you're taking. I would like to invite two more people maybe to say a few words. We're lucky to have with us a representative of a CEO of an Israeli company that has an office here. It's Clapton Insurance Company. It's a solution that actually can help dealing. Please come. Webster Towambo is the CEO of the local branch. And I think it can give us, especially Amit, after the fintech panel and the agriculture panel, maybe from your side and your point of view, tell us a little bit about what you're doing here. What is the Clapton companies can get some advice from you or work in partnership with you. And I have to tell you then when I met the owner, the Israeli one, I immediately asked him, but Clapton, is it for Eric Clapton? And he said, yes. So here.
Thank you very much. A lot of questions. I hope I'll remember all of them. Yeah. Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here. I'll briefly talk about Clapton Reinsurance Company. So Clapton Reinsurance Company, you can refer to it as Clapton Re. I wish to believe it's an example of how attractive Zambia is to foreign investors. So the parent company called Clapton Insurance Company was licensed in the Comoros. Then in 2020, the shareholders decided to go to a country which was better regulated. And of all the African countries, Zambia was chosen. I'll explain why they chose Zambia. So currently what is happening is, of course, our company is owned by majority Israeli, in fact, wholly owned by Israelis or Jews. So the shareholders decided to come to the Comoros and came in to set up in Zambia. And what is happening is that the entire portfolio, which they were writing from the Comoros, which is in excess of $30 million, is coming into Zambia. So when we talk about the export market, usually the focus is maybe on products. There's less emphasis on the service side. So reinsurance being provided from here is an export service. So we export reinsurance to the Middle East, so the Gulf region and the rest of Asia. We also do business in Africa, the rest of Africa, and Latin America. So this year alone, from the portfolio that we're inheriting of in excess of $30 million, we will write about $50 million. And these funds are coming into the local economy, therefore contributing to the much needed Forex. I should also mention that our setup was facilitated by ZDA, Zambia Development Agency. So it's also, we're also an example of the role that ZDA plays. So we have an investment license. So the other reason that attracted the investors is the double taxation, which we have with the Indian government. One of the strategic goals for the company was to penetrate the Indian market. So because Zambia has a double taxation agreement with India, then it became attractive. And another factor is the regulation in Zambia. So the insurance sector is well regulated, and it will contribute to the rating of the company. So currently we are rated by 2 rating agencies, GCR and Bloomfield, and we're in the process of being rated by Moody's. So what do we offer? So we offer reinsurance solutions, both facultative and treaty. So we support the local insurance companies. So when they take on risk, they don't have the capacity to absorb everything to their balance sheet. So reinsurance provides that support. So that support extends beyond Zambia. And it's from this perspective really where we play a very big role. So the shareholders have decided to make Zambia a hub for their financial investments, specifically insurance. Currently, there's already another insurance company that they are setting up, which will mean more Forex and more investment coming into the country. So far, they have pumped in Clapton Re about $4.5 million with a commitment to raise it to $10 million in the next 24 months. So one of the ways we promote investment is through sureties and guarantees. There are a lot of contractors, both locally and international contractors, who do contracts. So we provide credit guarantees to enable, to facilitate financing. So that's one of the ways we facilitate trade and investment. So I thought with these few words, I can mention that Clapton Re is a good example of how attractive Zambia is to the foreign investors. And with the support of ZDA, we have managed to set up within the shortest possible time, and everything is going on smoothly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being also spontaneous and coming and telling us. And you actually paved the way for the last speaker that we would like to invite, the acting Director General of ZDA. I think it's just nice that you will be concluding maybe, and then we will take, of course, questions. And Amit is here, myself, Mr. Albert Harmapag. You probably all know him. I just met him today. So it's really my honor. Thank you for joining us on this event, and thank you for the partnership. And the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Your Excellency. I'm glad to stand before you just to emphasize the importance of this conference. You know, whenever you deal with Israel, you know what it means. These are God's special people, blessed people, and the Bible still stands. What's written there still stands. Those of you that have been to Israel, I'm sure you get amazed by that country. I don't know what miracle God performed. Yeah, she did say something when she was giving her remarks that they're still looking for the milk and the honey. But the milk and honey is already there, the innovation. Nobody beats Israel in terms of innovation, scientific discoveries. I'm sure you all know how Israel powers the entire globe. So, Ambassador, we are so privileged to work with you, the Zambia Development Agency, in collaboration with the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry and the government of the Republic of Zambia. We are so happy that we can begin to plant a seed of this nature, working with yourselves to begin to create a platform so that investors from Israel can begin to flock into Zambia and begin to set up in various sectors that government has prioritized. I was following the conversation very, very closely, and I think most interesting, of course, is the last set of discussions on financial technologies and innovations. I'm glad to see that there was a Zambian, also in that league. It's a question of at what level, but we are happy that a Zambian is doing that. And I'm also glad I'm seated with the other lady there also in innovations about the farmers. We're glad you're doing that. Then a question just came to my mind, say, how would you work with ZDA to innovate in terms of, we have a challenge on tracking investors when they come to set up. I know there's some systems we're developing, direct investment here. Mrs. Chombo will tell you that we're trying to figure out how we innovate around tracking investors, because we receive a lot of investors on a yearly basis. And with this current environment that the new Dawn government is setting, we are seeing a gold rush into Zambia, and that's very commendable. Yeah. But I see opportunities how the young people can innovate in areas of trade and investment. For example, I need to know every year how many exporters are born. Okay? When I say exporters being born, I mean those who are starting to export for the first time. And I also need to know how many exporters have died. When I mean an exporter dying, it means they've stopped exporting, not biological death. So can we create a system where ZDA would automatically know, because we need that data, as and when it happens, when the first exporter is transshipping their goods into Congo, whatever market, or into Israel, given this platform we are creating so that there's investment and trade between Zambia and Israel. So how do we innovate and digitize around that area so that ZDA can have data as and when we need it, so that we can say this exporter or this investor came into Zambia because of ZDA, so that we keep tracking as and when that happens. And also when they come to set up, how do we know that they are investing in what they pledged or they put in the business plan? Okay? So think around there. I'm sure the Zambian innovators in the room, my sister there and the lady was seated here. That's a lot of homework for you. So just to thank you, colleagues who are in this room, I think you are seeing the level of momentum we are picking in terms of attracting investors into this country. And this platform to me has been one of the most successful ones to create a platform between Zambia and Israel. I know there are huge areas, the agriculture, manufacturing, we are talking of copper value chains at the moment. That's the big homework for Zambia in terms of contributing into the greening of the world economy. How do we work with Israel to make sure that the copper endowments, we carry out proper research and development so that the products we churn out of that research will be of world international standards? How do we work with Israeli companies to make sure that these value chains in copper, they go far and wide throughout the world? How do we make sure that we partner with Israeli companies to make sure that we start growing avocados? I heard one of the panelists earlier on talk about avocados. I always talk of Kenya's story where they're exporting $300 million worth of avocados on an annual basis. We barely started exporting 70 tons of avocados. I think that was 2 months ago. We can do better in Zambia. And opportunities and platforms like this one are very, very important. They actually create these synergies. There are blueberries, macadamia nuts, there are other crops that are coming up. And Israel plays a very important role. I also heard from my elder statesman who talked about irrigation. Yes, my CEO stated there that he introduced irrigation, drip irrigation in Zambia. And if you look at how people are growing tomatoes or it's whatever vegetables, there's a lot of scaled up irrigation in Zambia because of the technology from Israel. So, Madam Ambassador, we are looking up to Israel in terms of innovation, in terms of research and development. Let us grow crops that have been well researched. Let us, come up with products through research and development, not through guesswork. You try this today, tomorrow for many years. And I've seen that the levels of startups in Israel, the level is so high. I sit with over 5,000 SMEs on our ZDA database. But these SMEs are at the lowest level. They've been SMEs for ages. I'm sure those startups in Israel, they are growing, expanding because of the product they produce. So how can we work together in those areas? So the opportunities that exist between Israel and Zambia are huge, very huge. Mind you, in case you didn't know, Israel is simply a desert surrounded by countries with oil. It's the only country without oil, surrounded there. But if you look at per capita income, I get amazed. Almost $32,000. Maybe it has even gone up by now. Maybe it's $40,000 per capita income per head. Look at our 1,600, almost struggling to go into lower middle income status. So this platform, this conference is a beginning. I know next time we'll do it in style. We'll have numbers of people. We'll look for it. Yesterday, the president was commissioning. Yes, the new Kenneth Kaunda wing, which can accommodate 2,000 people. We want, Madam Ambassador, next time, the next Israel-Zambia conference should be in that new KKW wing with over 2,500 people. I promise you from the Zambian side, we'll get you the companies. Please bring companies also from Israel to pair up with Zambians so that we move this country forward. Thank you so much, and I believe that we'll continue engaging. I'm sure the panelists' addresses and information will be shared so that we keep engaging and so that we keep following these leads so that what we have started today, Madam Ambassador, should not stop here. We should begin to see large Israeli-Zambia partnership ventures producing for Europe and America. So this is the seed we planted today, and want to thank you for your synergies and energy of working with us. This is what ZJ does best. And I'm happy that Clapton was able to praise us. That's what we do for this country. But there are so many of these companies, Yes, exactly. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think you can start feeling this Israeli vibe of, at the beginning when I arrived, I was consulting on any minute with the colleagues from the Ministry of Commerce because we're not that strong in protocol. So where should the minister sit? who should speak first, but slowly, even the minister himself cut most of his speech and spoke freely, and I think we're moving. So we will continue in this move. And when I pointed to you, I saw Nambula. How do you pronounce your name? You're from WEAC? No, I thought you're from, but are you presenting something interesting that we would like to hear about? No, okay. You want to say something? You can, so come, we do it. No, I must tell you, with no offense to all the men in the crowd, I think the last panel director was so successful because you had a wonderful lady representing Zambia, and we had two ladies from Israel. So come join me. Let me feel a little bit better. You know that the work that Israel started in Africa was in '57 when Golda Meir, she was the foreign minister, a lady, and she came to Africa. And she was so impressed with Africa. So she founded a center in Haifa, in the Carmel Mountain, for empowerment of women. So I saw that you're very curious and active. Let's hear.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ann Mwansa. I'm coming from a company called Digital Farming Solutions, and we are in agriculture technology. What we've done is developed an application that using weather focus, we're able to predict when the rains will send this information to the farmer, as well as being able to tell the farmer what crops to grow, when to grow, and how to grow. Of course, we're going to ride on the Israeli technologies. We're not going to invent the wheel. Yes, and we talked. Yes, you know. Yes, and also from the presentation of Digigo, we're not doing everything. We're providing a platform that sends information to the farmer, but also we're going to ride onto the platform and also add the marketing aspect to our platform. So ideally, what I'm here for is to steal, not to steal, to ride on the technologies for Israeli and be able to provide, yes, partnership, be able to provide this technology to our Zambian farmers, specifically the seasonal farmers, seasonal small-scale farmers.
Excellent. Thank you very much for being spontaneous and telling us. I think it's very interesting. So now we're opening. If someone else wants to, we can, yeah. Amit, will you help me or will you leave me alone here?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chongo Chibawi. I'm an agribusiness consultant, and I'm also director in Muchinga Agricultural Development Company, an outfit, one of the biggest outgrower scheme companies in Muchinga province. We have over 500 outgrower farmers growing soybeans, and very soon we're going to processing of these soybeans when we set up the plant at the end of the year. And we're also planning on developing an ethanol producing plant in Mwansabombwe. This is still in its infancy, but it's something that we are working on with my colleagues. My comment here is basically a comment, not a question, is to look at the opportunity that presents itself here. We have been told about the R&D, how advanced R&D is, like in Israel. So why don't we borrow already evidence-based information and tweak it to this land, which is so abundant in resources? We have the water, we have the land, and we have the labor. Even the market, commercial market, SADC market, it's a huge market. So why don't we borrow those the R&D and utilize it here in Zambia? But my worry, my biggest concern, as even alluded to by the Director General for ZDA, is the 5,000 SMEs or even farmers, the 1 million farmers that we have in Zambia. Are they ready to actually take up this technology? The finance is there because there are countries that are going to come in here with doing JVs and stuff like that. Information is there. But are we as Zambian entrepreneurs ready to absorb that kind of investment?
It's been mentioned by Director General here that he has 5,000 SMEs sitting on his database, but are they investor ready? So like Amit had mentioned earlier, talked about training. I think one of the basic things that we need to start with is actually training. Train ourselves and everybody else to be mindset, to change the mindset, to understand that, particularly because I've got this passion with farming, particularly with farmers. Farmers must understand that what they are doing is a business. It's not just for survival. It is a business that they are doing. But how do they understand that this is a business? So we need to provide, in whatever we do, that intervention, we need to provide training so that our people are actually investor ready.
You're getting to the point, because in this conference is really economic, business oriented, but some of the work that we do as an international corporation work through Mashav. Mashav is the Israeli, let's say, USAID. It's mostly really capacity building. We're not the big donors. We have to keep the expectation low, but we're very good in capacity building and trainings. And it's one of the things on the table. We will do things baby step. We're small, we're very small, but I hope that it will start leading towards other options.
We can create those partnerships, find people that can build capacity in those people so that they are ready for the investment.
Thank you very much. That was very interesting remark. I think we can take one or more questions. Here, the gentleman wanted, Saro.
Afternoon, everyone. Calvin Salah from Sargo. Just adding on to my colleague next to me, what he has said. Sargo has recently become very involved in the mechanization aspect of the small-scale farmers, mechanizing the small-scale farmers. And just a point that I want to raise is the fact that as a supplier of equipment and reaching out to the small-scale farmers, some of whom are very far from Lusaka, there is a certain partner that we need, and they are not quite ready from what we have seen, and those are what we call the agro dealers. The agro dealers have got a very important role to play in the mechanization process, because when Saro supplies, for example, a hammer mill to a place like Jinsali or Mpika, and the farmer needs a backup service because a fault has developed on the machine, they shouldn't have to travel all the way to Lusaka to come to Saro or to go to the nearest branch. There needs to be somebody close at hand in Mpika or Jinsali. And in most of the smaller centers, there are the agro dealers that are there, but they've been lacking financial support. They've been lacking business knowledge sometimes. We have tried in the past a system of where we used to supply what we call consignment stock to them. We eventually gave up on that because we supplied consignment stock meaning that they would only pay for the product once they've sold it. However, what would happen is they would sell the product and Saro would not be paid. And after several losses, we gave that up as a bad idea, business idea. But the point is, mechanization is now being the key word. I've been in several meetings over the last couple of weeks now about mechanization. And it has been mentioned that by someone else who did the research, organization or farm called AgCo, that one of the shortcomings is that when the farmer has a problem on the farm, there doesn't seem to be technicians available close by. So we need to, I would like to just appeal to everyone who's focused on the development of agriculture to remember to include the agro dealers in the planning, because they have a role to play and we just need to get them on board. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Justina is at the back. You want to say something? Okay. And maybe you and we will finish with the lady. Of course, she will be the last one. No, we'll conclude with her. You want also? And that's it. Guys, 1 second. We're going to lunch all together, so it's not that we're disappearing. It's nice also over food. So, yeah.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, Ambassador, Your Excellency. Okay, sorry, is this better? Good afternoon, Your Excellency. Thank you for this forum. My name is Sid Parma. I'm the chairman and founder of Zambia's first space company, and I've been hearing some great things from our fellow Zambians over here who are using satellite technology, I guess, to help with rural farmers on the ground. So my pleas to all those locals as well as the international collaborations, please see us later. This is my CEO also over here, to discuss how we can collaborate and bring in the technology that's out there already from Israel and put it into our system, which we're growing homegrown locally over here, and work together. We all need to help the farmers, and we need to make the farmers happy so they can feed us. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Where are you based in Zambia?
We're based in Lusaka.
Yeah, in Lusaka.
In Lusaka,
Okay.
yes.
All right. So thank you very much. We're glad you came, and we'll hand it to the. And all the others, we're still going up. Lunch is waiting, so we can all calmly speak. And yes, please present yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Mukuka, and I am with an organization called Green Hive, which I co-founded. So I pivoted from financial services, from corporate, and decided to jump into beekeeping a few years ago. And what we do is we work with over 500 farmers, and basically we provide beehives, and they can then offer them an alternative income line, which then means that it looks at climate change as well in terms of stuff like cutting down trees. So it's really a value chain component that we're actually looking at. One of the things that we're looking to do as we scale and as we grow is attaching elements of technology to it. And this is about traceability, making sure that even the farmers themselves have an idea of how much yield they're going to get, and how, in terms of the bees which are in the area, in terms of harvest, etc., and just really being able to look at those basic fundamentals that they use. And I've been hearing a lot of exciting technology opportunities that can come in from Israel and also locally as well. What I was wondering is there a database that perhaps you have in terms of how do I, as Mukuka, then find out who do I see in this listing that's available? How do I know who to contact and who to actually go to? And then my second piece, okay. My second piece is just generally about, I know this is like a really more like an exploratory component as you're starting yourselves. But what I want to find out is, how do we know what success is going to look like from this meeting? What are some of the next steps that we're going to look at, even just in the immediate term? Not necessarily far-fetched along the road, but just even in the next couple of months. What do we look forward to? How do we then say, oh, there was this meeting that I went to, and these are the progression steps that have actually taken place? Because so often we go, we sit, we have coffee, we have tea, we have a nice meal. I say hi to everybody, I get my cards, I pack them, I throw them somewhere, I forget where they are. But how do we measure this and the outcomes of this specific meeting? Thank you.
So, yeah, so that's my responsibility. So basically, I have a trade mission in South Africa. We have a team of people that what we do is exactly what you just mentioned. First, you can approach us with a specific request, for which companies you want to collaborate with, which sectors, and we have the resources and the due diligence to get to those companies. Now, I can't guarantee that those companies will work with you, but I can guarantee that we will get them and we'll get a response. And if it will be lucrative enough and the suggestion will be make sense in terms of business, the business model, that's something that we'll take forward. Specifically about the beehives, it's something that it's a hot topic in Israel. Most of it goes to the States and Europe. This is talking about artificial pollination, some kind of creating beehives artificially and 3D printers and things like that. But there is a big project now we're starting in South Africa with beehives workers and how to increase, because as you mentioned, it's something that is very, it's a hot topic. From one hand, you need it, ESG goals and things like that. Bees are very important. And also it's something that's relatively easy to enter and easy to make a return on that. In terms of the follow-up, so again, we are here usually when we do this kind of conference. We do sending like we'll send all of you like this presentations and the recording of the conference. And after that, if there is any kind of request, we're starting to connect it to the relevant companies. And it's like a funnel. We're starting with that. And, you know, sometimes, as you said, it's not relevant. People just throwing the cards, nothing yet, but we are focusing on the ones that looks the promise, the most prominent deals. And with them, we helping with the follow-up. We calling, sending emails, SMS every here and there, every few months. The culture gap and things like that, we're trying to overcome it by people that we have staff in South Africa, and hopefully eventually to see successful deals. I can just tell you that we are very driven, KPI driven. The trade missions in South Africa in the last 4 years that I was enrolled made deals that are around between $30 to $40 million. And again, the whole trade between Israel and South Africa, 300 million. So that's equivalent to almost 10% on that. So that's, I think, good KPIs.
I can only envy the embassy in South Africa that has a separate office with a professional trade attaché that was nice enough to come to Zambia. You pinpointed it. I'm new. That's the embassy, the building, ambassador, vice ambassador, DCM, economic attaché, culture attaché. But again, all these things couldn't have happened. We have our honorary consul, and I think we should applaud our honorary consul and his staff. Mike is here and Justina is here because we were not able to arrange this without their help and support, volunteering. And I have one new economic counselor. Hector, if you can please stand, because I assume that and he really helped us to pull it up. It's just a few months. We did the interview via Zoom, and we're starting to get to know each other. It's really complicated. I'm working from Israel. Amit promised to help us to do those first steps. So that's why we also, in my view, and I have some Israeli fellows here, and believe me that the Israeli community is furious that they didn't enter the room. We had strict restriction of COVID. I'm really sorry we were not able to host them. But the idea was really to choose companies and the government institutions that deals with those two specific issues that we thought after a lot of conversations that might be needed and that we can cooperate together. And when we were writing our paper ourselves, yes, our internal, what we want to get out of it, I said, let's be very modest. Small event, 50 people, for me, the connections with the Ministry of Commerce, with the connections with the ZDA now, we can start something. And we set up a very modest target, one linkage. If we will get out of this conference, one linkage, and I think we already have it. So you have to report to us. Where is the doctor? I don't see the, who promised from the research, help me here, from the research of the Charles Kavaya. You approach him. If this comes out of here, we take responsibility. So we try to be modest. I see that you're active. So challenge us. You have the mail, the Israel in Zambia. Hector will be following. We will send you also, we will try to create a feedback paper. We will all doing it really, really in a stressful way. I'm really happy it happened. I'm really happy you're here. You express interest. Again, I want to thank Amit, because without his help, we couldn't have done it. We did it in a very Israeli way. Very low resources and a very hectic time. Everyone is doing everything. We were pulling here yesterday, the banners and everything. This is how we know to work. This is how we like to work. And you're welcome to join us. So challenge us. I hope we will be able to fulfill your request. I'm challenging you. And I think with this happy note, again, thank you, of course, to ZDA and the Ministry of Commerce. Thank you also to the Israeli Chamber of Commerce. I think this meeting, if you're asking me, creates now interest also in the Israeli Chamber of Commerce, Israel Africa Chamber of Commerce. We all have to remember that everyone is now starting to live again after COVID. and to everyone wants to do something. I really hope the minister and your president will accept the invitation. We invited also the minister. In my dream, I see your president coming with a group of ministers that deals with the subjects that touch one the other, like the Minister of Agriculture, Water, Green Economy, Science and Technology, of course, and the Ministry of Commerce. If they come as a group and we can do a showcase in Israel, they can do a showcase of Zambia. This is part that has to be done from the Zambian side. So Albert, you're still here with us. Zambia has, I remember that years ago, I was in such presentation of Macedonia, like a new country, young country. They came and they presented to the Israelis what are the incentives that they can get, how the environment can bring them in Macedonia. And a lot of Israeli companies started working there after this visit. It has to be a big visibility visit, high visibility visit from Zambia to Israel. Then people will see you. Then maybe here we get into the local news here. I want you to get in the local news in Israel. This is how we will create real interest in Zambia. So I met, of course, with, we're very happy that in a few years now, we have a Zambian embassy in Israel. We're in good relations. So I'm pouring all my activity, trying to tell them, let's do also a Zambian conference in Israel. We really need to do it in parallel in order to get good results. So with this happy note, you're all invited second floor. There is a restaurant and we can all have lunch and chat together. So thank you very much for coming.